Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to the Reformed Temple of Forest Hills. My name is Monty Silberger.
And I'm Linda Freitag. Rabbi Kaiserman is away this week, so we're joining with Cantor to lead services this evening. And we ask that you follow us in the bracketed pages, please.
Please turn to page 121. We call up Lillian Kowalski for the lighting of the Shabbat candles.
Continue with Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon hintilanu zikaron lemase bereishit ki hu yom tehila lemikrai kodesh zeicher litziat mitzrayim ki
Turn now to page 127. And from the top of the page, these are the days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat,
we seek not to acquire, but to share.
These are the days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
These are the days we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On
Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
We now turn to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, verses 1 to 5, and we will stand for verse 9.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala
146 and remain standing.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam va'ed.
We join together on the middle of page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbinu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chokecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki em chayenu Be'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir Mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael.
Please
Shema
turn
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevot Machuto Le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated.
And turn to page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Please join us on the middle of page 157.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nation will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. We now turn to page 158. Turn to page 162 for Vishamru. 162.
Vishamru, Bnei Yisrael, et Shabbat, lasot et Shabbat לדורות המרד עולם. Vishamru, Bnei Yisrael, et Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורות המרד
Pray as if everything depends on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Please turn to page 164 and rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשלי עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Together in English.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
Please turn to page 173.
Please be seated.
Yes, sorry. Please be seated. Turn to page 173.
Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us. from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Turn to page 178 for the Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki Adon Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki Adon Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamivarech et amo Yisrael, Bashalom.
We now pause for a few moments of silent meditation.
Yehiyu leratzon, Yimrefi, Vegyon libi, Lefanecha,
We now begin our service for the reading of the Torah. Please turn to page 364, and we invite up to open the ark Audrey Frankel and Josh Pagan.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Udivar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah.
to the Torah, please be seated. We call to the Torah Julie Alexander.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I should mention that if you would like to follow along, we are in Kitisa, and that can be found in the Plaut Chumash on page 593. I'll just give you a moment. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Pesol lecha, shnei luchot avanim karishonim, v'chatarti al haluchot et hadvarim asher hayu, al haluchot harishonim asher shibarta, v'yeh nachon laboker, v'alita laboker el har Sinai, v'nitzavta li sham al rosh hahar, ואיש לא יעלה עמך, וגם איש אל יירא בכל ההר, גם הצאן והבקר אל יראו אל מול ההר ההוא.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We now want to talk about those of us who need special healing prayers. And we want to just name those of us in our community who are not feeling well. Elaine Wohl, Jamie Stern, Leah Stern, Joan Lipton, Arlene Green, Sadie Rosenkrantz, Roberta Traeger, Jody Ann Herman, Judith Locasio, Rochelle Weinberg, Don Levy, Larry Bloom, Arnold Gilbert, Barbara Gilbert, Jane Levy, Brenda Levinson, Rabbi Sanford Marcus, and Florence Zilberger. We now turn to the middle of page 371 and join together in the Mishabara prayer for healing.
Before we do that, is there anybody who has another name that they're thinking of that they would like to mention at this time? And you can say that as my eyes meet yours as we go around the room.
Everyone's sick with COVID.
Honora Raphael Wallace Geffen, Roxanne Roger Warren Schultz,
John and
Chaya bat Velvel Vehindi. And we continue on page 371 with our Misha Berach prayer.
now ask everyone to please rise.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. And we now call to the Bima for returning the Torah to the Ark,
Ali
Rebecca and
Rebecca
Ali
Ali
Katz. It's Chaim ki hamachazichim ba v'tom ve'ha me'ushar tiroteha dol heinom v'chol letiroteha shalom shalom ashivenu Adonai ilecha ve'lashuva kadishoneinu
We now call, oh, please be seated. Sorry. We now call up to the Torah to give his Devar Torah for this evening, Mark Katz.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. When Rabbi Kaiserman offered me the honor of giving today's Devar Torah, I asked him what the parameters were. He said I should speak for a minimum of 3 hours and that we would lock the door. So buckle up, make yourselves comfortable. I'd like to start with an overview, general overview, the cliff notes, if you will, of today's Torah portion, Ki Tisa. It starts off with the military census, 1 shekel per person, rich and poor pay the same. Then instructions regarding Aaron and the Levites entering the Ohel Moed, which is translated as the tent of meeting. How to anoint the Levites, the specific recipes for the incense, and some of the utensils that would be used inside the tent. He even names specific people who would have the knowledge, who have the knowledge to craft the metal and stone to be used. Then there's a reminder to keep Shabbat, because Shabbat is kind of a big deal. Then Moses receives the tablets inscribed with the finger of God. This idea of God in terms of a physical characteristic, here a finger, will be repeated a little bit more throughout this parsha. Then we get to the golden calf, and we'll talk about that a little bit in greater detail in a few minutes. The consequences of the golden calf include Moses taking the tablets, throwing them to the ground very dramatically, and the people forced to drink the water of the shattered tablets and water. Then they're separating those who would be on God's side. The Levites then take up the sword, and thousands are killed. It sounds a little bit like a civil war to me. Moses advocates for the Israelites to save their lives, and a plague is offered as punishment. When Moses would enter the Ohel Moed, a cloud would appear, indicating God's presence. Moses and God would talk panim el panim, face to face, another anthropomorphic description of God. Moses asked God, basically, he says, God, we speak face to face, but I still want to know your ways. I still yearn to see you. Think the lyrics of My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. And then, in what, in my opinion, is one of the most difficult stories to understand in the Torah, God agrees. He instructs Moses to sit in the crevice of a rock. God would put his hand over Moses so to protect him, so that Moses shouldn't see God's face. And then God passes by Moses, and it says that Moses would see God's back. That's a little bit too much for me to handle, so I'll leave that for Rabbi Kaiserman to explain. Then Moses gets a second set of tablets, and God reviews the blessings that he will bestow on the people. God will give them the promised land. They must not take upon themselves other gods. Then there's a reminder about Pesach. Then there's every firstborn, including human males, belong to God unless they are redeemed. Today that's manifested in the traditional custom of Pidyon Haben, literally redeeming the firstborn. When Moses returns from the mountain, his face is radiant. The letters used here in Hebrew can spell out either Karen, meaning radiant, or Keren, meaning horns. Modern translations render it as radiant, but there is some scholarship out there that argues that it does indeed mean horns. Now, back to the golden calf. Here's the scene. Charlton Heston has gone up to the mountain to receive the law, but he has gone for a while. The people become anxious. Moses had always been there to tell them what God wanted, but now they have no leader. So they protested John Carradine, saying that they wanted a God that would go forth in front of them because they did not know where God was. Aaron instructs the people to bring him their gold. He melted down the gold and poured it into a mold, creating a golden calf. By the way, in case you're wondering, Edward G. Robinson is in the movie, but he's not mentioned in the Torah. Aaron then told the Israelites that the following day would be a festival to their God, and they brought sacrifices to the golden calf. They ate and drank and engaged in what was described as acts of litzachek. It could literally mean laughing, litzachek. Our plowed chumashim translated into dancing, but there seems to be a scholarly belief that it's referring more to a type of baccaral. God sees all this and is very angry. He says that he will destroy the people, but Moses talks him out of it. Moses descends from the mountain where he is met by John Derrick. When he sees what's going on, he smashes the tablets into the dust. So let's take a minute to talk about Aaron. Moses is so surprised by what's going on that he asks Aaron, what did the people do to you for this to happen? After all, they must have hit him in some way, tortured him, put him to some challenge. Aaron tries to distance himself from the act. He states that the people are disposed to evil, so he made them give up their gold. He threw the gold into the fire, and magically, out came a golden calf. The traditional commentators rise to Aaron's defense. They say that Aaron tried to delay the evil activities, first by not expecting them to give up their gold so easily, and then setting the festival for the following day, perhaps buying some time. So, what do we learn from Aaron? Was he a person who was just placed in a totally untenable position? Was he in over his head? It can take a lot of courage to do the right thing when those around you are not. If I am gathered with some friends or acquaintances who are exchanging jokes that I am uncomfortable with, do I sit quietly so as not to lose their friendship or to be alienated? Do I confront them regardless of whether or not there is any personal loss? In today's environment, with racism and anti-Semitism on the rise, are we loud enough to confront it? Should we be, if it only draws more attention to ourselves? Aaron wasn't perfect, but he wrestled with these issues too. I'd like to end with this. This is from Naomi Shulman, who is a writer and essayist. Nice people made the best Nazis. My mom grew up next to them. They got along, refused to make waves, looked the other way when things got ugly, and focused on happier things than politics. They were lovely people who turned their heads as their neighbors were dragged away. Not everyone is a revolutionary. I'm certainly not. But I hope that we have the courage to stand up for what's right in whatever way we can. Shabbat shalom and thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for a well-done Dvar Torah, summarizing the part and then bringing Aaron's dilemma into a more contemporary thing so that we can think about it ourselves. And I'm also glad that you brought up all the movie references so we won't miss Rabbi Kaiserman so much that he's gone this week. All right, so now it is time for us to share some simchas. I'm going to go around the room, starting on that side. If anyone has something good that happened to them this week or in the past few days that they'd like to share, please do so. Anyone who is at home in the chat, you can enter anything good in the chat as well, all right? Anyone?
Please raise your hand and also announce your name when you are called.
This is Cantor Emily Pincus, Andrew Pincus. And 13 years ago today, a very amazing thing happened to us for which we are incredibly grateful. And that happening is celebrating the day by staying home this evening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jody? Ah.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Smiley, and my grandson is turning 9 this week, and I'm going to be going down there and going on the trampoline, at least watching him go on the trampolines. I can't promise I'm going to go on the trampolines, but my turn out there. One or two.
You're not going to go on the trampoline yourself? All right. Anyone else? All right.
Hi, I'm Jody Herman. I just celebrated my 64th birthday on Tuesday.
Mazel tov.
Happy birthday, Jody. And I have something to share as well. Yesterday I heard from my granddaughter, Eleanor, that she was accepted into Duquesne University. This is the 3rd college that has accepted her. She is going to start in September in a doctoral program in philosophy.
All right. So we now turn to page 586, to the middle of page 586, and please rise for Elaine in prayer.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gdula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'malam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
Please be seated.
At this time, we think of those who are no longer with us. And most recently, passed away but not yet laid to rest, Doris Vivian Axelrod, mother of Lois Silverman, grandmother of Jonathan, Michelle, Sasha, and Greg Silverman, great-grandmother of Beja, Arijua, and Eden, and Asher. And for Shloshim, Alyssa Rassin, sister of Jeremy Rassin, sister-in-law of Gregory Rassin, aunt of Sylvia and Gabriel Rassin. Maxine Leonescu, friend of Brenda Levinson and Mark and Harry Cooperman. Barry Tendler, cousin of Matthew, Jenny, Haley, and Samara Byers. Dorothy Jacoby Zinn, mother of Mark Jacoby. Bernie Selinsky, father of Sherry and Jeff Reisner. And for yard site, Anne Aschendorf, Lindy Auerbach, Isaac Bachheimer, Henrietta Bendenun, Thelma Bernstein, Gedula Blum, Margaret Bookman, Jenny Bookstaver, Estelle Chaskin, Larry Davis, Nathan Feldman, Yetta Goldberg, Samuel Goldstein, Robert Higgins, Max Hirsch, Seymour Itzkowitz, Madeline Kamnitzer, Jacob Cass, Bluma Ketzeroff, Alex Kowalski, David Krantz, Goldie Kreisman, Florence Quate Cohn, Dorothy Landman, Gloria Leibowitz, Ruth Lehman, Paul Lehman, Carl Newman, Barbara Newman, Carol Rhine, Albert Reinheimer, Anne Rosenberg, Lillian Rosenkrantz, David Rosenthal, Mary Rosenthal, Doris Rubin, Leon C. Sachs, Molly Sackler, Anne Scharf, Celia Schulman, Dr. Edward Schwartz, Herb Schwartz, Elaine Simon, Jacob H. Slutskin, Leonard Sonnenberg, Samuel Sonnenberg, Jacob Stern, Larissa Stern, Raquel Samra Tarab, Millie Traeger, Gloria Leibowitz Wayne, Marie Weiss, and Elliot Wall. And if there are any other names that you would like to say at this time in memory, please do so now as my eyes meet yours.
Please turn now to page 598 and rise for the reading of the Mourner's Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, be'alma tifrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yimechon b'chayei kol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabah mevarach le'alam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'ama v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'romav. Yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say,
Amen.
O se shalom bimromav huyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Please be seated.
Our president could not be with us this evening, so announcements will be made by Cantor Pincus.
Hi again. So Torah study continues tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Next week's is kind of a quiet week, but exciting things are coming up. Among them, Mitzvah Day, which is March 13th, and here are some highlights about Mitzvah Day. The theme is Act from the Heart, Make a Difference. It is in person. It promises to be a fulfilling day of hands-on activities and learning for the entire community, religious school students, TAFE, and adults. And it's an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of those who need our support. So I hope that everybody can come out for that. A little bit earlier, the Shabbat before that, March 11th, is Woko Shabbat. And we're just starting, I think, Women's History Month, so that's probably connected. March 16th, aside from being my birthday, is Erev Purim. So hope you can all join us then. The Purim Carnival on March 20th. A little bit further out, April 10th, the Sunday before Passover, we're going to have a wonderful klezmer concert in the early afternoon. We hope you all can come. That's April 10th. And looking further into May, this year's fundraiser is going to be a Sondheim concert, all music of Stephen Sondheim, and that will be Saturday, May 8th. So lots of different things to look forward to, and mark your calendars.
So now we move to the Motzi, and I'd like to invite up to the challah anyone who would like to be part of the Motzi this evening. All right, we have Monty.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. B'te'avon, bon appetit. And we close with Adon Olam, which is on page 625. Adon Olam, Hashem alach, b'terem koytzi nivra, le'ina zarech tzokol, azay melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kitlot hakol, leva Shabbat Shalom.